I was so excited to get my shipment from Last Bottle Wines in the mail the other day, full of incredible red wines, all from Napa Valley. I love wine tasting, so having this to my door couldn't be happier. Also, couldn't be more excited that today's episode is brought to you by Last Bottle Wines. If you don't know already, they're a Napa-based online wine shop with a twist. They offer just one handpicked wine per day until it sells out, and they're always at incredible prices. We're talking 30 to 70% off retail. And the best part is that there's no subscriptions, no fees, and no minimum purchase. And I could not be more excited to bring this offer right now because they're having a marathon sale, which is coming up March 28th and 29th. Even better, we're offering Dateable listeners 10% off your first order with code DATEABLE. So if you are a wine lover like me, this is a great time to join. And did I mention that shipping is 100% free? So what are you waiting for? Mark your calendar for March 28th and 29th, or get on it earlier if you want. You can sign up at lastbottlewines.com and use code DATEABLE and find out why Last Bottle is the most fun way to discover and buy amazing wine.
This episode is made possible by Badlands Pets. As you all know, Mojo, my precious baby, is the reason why I found love in the first place. He made me feel love again. So I would do anything to ensure his health and longevity. And actress Katherine Heigl and I have that in common. She's helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation. And after doing a ton of research, she feels there's one place we can look to improve any dog's health, and that's their food. So fortunately, she found that just by adding a few special superfoods to her dog's food, she saw huge transformations in their health. So she's made a 20-minute video explaining step-by-step how anyone can do the same thing to see incredible changes in their dog's health. I've definitely re-looked at what I'm feeding Mojo and making sure that, hey, he only has one life to live, and I want to make sure it's the best damn life. So if you want to keep your dog healthy and happy, go to badlandsfood.com/dateable and watch Catherine's video right now. Again, that's badlandsfood.com/dateable.
The Dateable podcast is an insider's look into modern dating that the Huffington Post calls one of the top 10 podcasts about love and sex. On each episode, we'll talk to real daters about everything from sex parties to sex droughts, date fails to diaper fetishes, and first moves to first loves. I'm your host, Yue Xu, former dating coach turned dating sociologist. You'll also hear from my co-host and producer, Julie Krafchick, as we explore this crazy dateable world. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show all about modern dating. We know how much you love the he said, she said episodes. I love those too, and I've actually been part of some of those, and it's always just mind-blowing to hear what the other person has to say about the date. So our fantastic producer and co-host, Julie, has agreed to be part of this he said, she said episode. Julie, you've been single for how long now?
6 months?
6 months. Okay. And then I feel like you've just been going in and out of apps and maybe going on them to see what's up, but then you get off of them.
No, I feel like since my last breakup, it's been a consistent time on apps. I've been telling people I've had the most active dating life that's not interesting.
Okay, so maybe that's why my impression of your dating life is that you're weaving in and out of dating apps, because I only hear about a few of those.
There's been like a bunch of people that have been like, I don't know, like a couple weeks and then it like ends.
Okay.
So it's like, it's been going faster than I don't know, like the last time I went back on a dating app, the first person I met was someone I ended up dating that I really felt for early. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot how easy the dating apps were. Like I was totally misled, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh yeah, it's so much easier than I remembered. And then this time around, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's what everyone is saying. Like, I see where people are at.
So Julie's experienced pretty much everything that you hear about modern dating as what you've all experienced too, with the ghosting, with the conversations dying down, with someone not ready to be in a relationship.
Yep.
But most recently, you went on a date and you had a very interesting outcome from this date.
Yeah, and I mean, I think just to add before we go into the date was like, I am in a place right now that I'm like looking for something serious. And I think that's why I'm churning out people faster. faster is because when I realize it's not going down that path, I'm really consciously trying not to spend time in things that I feel like are dead end.
Right.
So I will say that I think my mindset's a little different. Other thing is though, all the people I've met in the last 6 months, I've met a lot of people in the last 6 months, have been really wonderful people. Like a lot of them haven't worked out for whatever reason. There's some situations where they were feeling it more than I was. There were situations where I was feeling it more than they were. Like it went in all different directions. Every person I'd met, I would think is like a quality person and not like a total weirdo. And I don't have like those dating horror stories.
Yep. And this is not a horror story, but we want to get like a he said, she said perspective because the outcome of it is somewhat unique.
Yeah. And I was super excited that my past date agreed to do this. So that's super fun.
What a good sport. And just so happens he lives a block away. Perfect.
So anyways, yeah, I met, I was talking on Hinge to this guy, Jeff, who is going to come in the studio momentarily. I think we started talking on like a Saturday morning and just like immediately like had really good banter. And that's something that's super important to me. So I was like, oh, kind of interesting. And like, he actually like worked at Yahoo and I worked there for like 8 years. So we had this in common, but he made some joke how it was like a has-been media company. And I was like from the 90s and I'm like, I actually work there, you know? So
what drew you to his profile in the first place?
Like he looked attractive. I will say he had a tattoo of his dog that I wasn't sure of, but
he has a tattoo of his dog on his arm?
On his arm. I thought he had a really good smile. Like he just looked like, I don't know, I always look for people's like energy and he just looked like a nice person. I don't know. I thought he was attractive too. Like clearly I wouldn't have swiped on him, but I don't know. I think like, I don't have a type like looks wise. I don't think, maybe you disagree, but I don't think I do. And I'm pretty like open to looks. So I'm more like, oh, do they look like a normal human being? Am I physically attracted to them enough? Right? Like I also find that it's really hard to tell on dating apps. So I'll generally swipe on people that look like they meet those like really basic things. And then it's the talk after. And that's how I like figure out if I'm going to go on a date with them really fast is from the conversation.
Okay.
So we had really good conversation. We just like had a lot of back and forth banter. He told me that he was a past rapper, which I thought was fascinating.
Like a professional
yeah,
rapper?
like a professional ex-rapper. And he's like, this could be a red flag turn off. And I'm like, this is a turn on for me. So
Julie loves rappers.
Yeah. So I was like, and then I told him about Dateable too, because I'm like, well, I'll throw it out there too, you know? And he was like, that's awesome. And I'm like, I appreciate someone that like just respects it. And it felt like we had a lot in common, like creatively, like profession now is more like a creative, like copywriter profession. I'm a designer and do this podcast. So we just had like a lot of similar vibes, I guess. Maybe attribute it to the show that I'm not here to talk to people all day online. So if I get like a good vibe, I think it was actually like Meredith from the league that like gave this advice that's like exchange like 3 things. And then once you do, like get offline.
Not 3 messages, but learn 3 things about each other and then get offline.
Exactly. So I hit a point that I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to like he mentioned that he like lived near this bar that I go to a lot too.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, would you want to like meet up next week? Like I just threw it out there. So he was like, yeah, I'm totally down to do that. So we just like made plans on Saturday. We met on Tuesday and I actually like, we talked for a bit on text on Monday night before the date. And even like on Saturday, we were like texting, we're like, you hang up. Like it was like one of those like, it just wasn't ending type of conversations. And we're like, oh, we enjoy talking to each other.
How old is he?
39.
Okay.
Just turned 39, I think. 38 was when we went on a date. So I'm not sure if he's 39 yet. Okay. Anyways, so Monday night we're talking, chatting like a lot. And it was like good. He had listened to some of the podcast episodes. So
oh, that's always great when they do their homework.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. But I like made a joke. Like I was like going to watch his rap videos because I just wanted to be surprised when I showed up, you know? So I'm like, I guess you've already done this. Started like saying some things like that. There were like some red flags about him, but I was just like, he was very like joking and like humorous. I like texted a few friends before this date and I was like, I'm either going on like the best date ever or the worst date. And there's nowhere in the middle. Like it's like one of these extremes. Cause I'm like, either like I even said this to him. I'm like, you're either like underselling over delivery or there's some serious red flags I'm about to encounter. Right. Yeah. So show up on the date. I like didn't see him at first. He came over. He
Where are you guys at?
Peacemaker.
Okay.
So right around the corner from here. Peacekeeper.
Keeper. I always get it wrong. Yeah. Peacekeeper.
We're
a
a
very
Peacekeeper.
cute, trendy bar.
Yeah, and came over. He looked like his photos, so that's always good. I think a little better than his photos, actually. So it's always a positive sign,
Were you
right?
attracted to him physically?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. And then he was kind of like, oh, like, I have a tab if you want to, like, get a drink. So it was, like, very informal. So I was like, like a little more informal than I'm used to, but didn't think that much of it. Like,
what are you used to?
I don't know, like the guy going over and like ordering the drink.
Oh, he was saying you can just go over to the bar yourself.
Like very
order a
like
drink.
friend vibe. Like not that it was, but it was just like not really what I was used to. But again, not a huge thing either way. But then we just like immediately started talking about really random stuff. And like I swear we talked about colonoscopies. I have no idea now.
What?
I have no idea.
That's appetizing.
I have no idea what the context was. And he made a joke too that his like friend who was like prepping him for this date. And she's like, she is going to kill me when she finds out I was talking about colonoscopy. So anyways, I don't remember why we were, but I do appreciate dates that aren't like formal.
Yeah.
Like the best dates I've ever had are just like two friends catching up.
Yeah.
You know, like all that. So anyways, we're having a good time, but then this is when the red flags kind of start to come in.
Uh-oh.
So he definitely dropped them. Like he basically said that he was technically not divorced yet.
Oh.
Separated, like been with someone for 12 years.
Damn.
Yeah, they separated a month ago. So I was his first online date. I will say Tinder, but I wasn't on Tinder. It's Hinge, but if you're going to use analogies, it was like his first Tinder date ever. So like,
those bombs were like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. And I mean, I think like, cause he was like, oh, is this like a huge turn off? And I'm like, it's not a turn off if people are divorced or separated. I think by 38, like you have to expect, like I'm 36. It's like, you have to expect people you're going to date have had past relationships. I think it's that it happened a month ago.
It's the timing.
Exactly. And it was like, I was the first date ever. So it was just like, I think in that moment, I was just like,
yeah.
And then he's also like, he mentioned like his friend of his is like dealing with cancer right now. So it just like, it felt like there was a lot going on for him.
Right.
Was the vibe I got.
Right.
That's where he is right now. And I think it's just, I'm really looking for someone that's going to like take an immediate next step, not someone that's like healing.
Right.
So anyways, though, we continued the date. We had a really good time. We ended up getting way too drunk for a Tuesday. Probably, I think, got home at like 12. So it was like a long date.
Late night.
And he had like asked me to go to this show with him on Friday.
Wait, how did this date end?
So we went from Peacemaker to Club Modern, which is like a block. Yeah, we definitely started like getting a little touchy. Like it was like, because in my head, I was like, oh, this isn't like someone that's like a viable. I think like, I don't know, I do compartmentalize a little that like as background, I've come off of a couple people that were in very long-term relationships, basically being like, I'm not ready for a relationship. And that was the conclusion they came to.
Right.
So some of this could be basing it off other people, which I know is not fair. But in my mind, I was like, okay, the last person I like had a spark with had like came up as a 7-year relationship. Now it's a 12-year. I'm like, what is next? You know? And like before that, like my ex had been in like a 4-year relationship. So it's just like,
you're just really drawn to people in long-term relationships.
Well, I mean, I think some of it is like, I feel like I am finally really relationship ready. And these people, they know how to be in relationships, which is great. So we went to this other bar, definitely got like a little flirty, touchy, you know, I think we might have kissed. I can't remember if it was. Well, we definitely did outside the bar. I can't remember if it was inside too.
Oh, okay. So you're the first person he's kissed 12 years that's not his wife.
Yes. So then he invited me to this show that he had tickets for at Bimbo's on Friday. So we went out on Tuesday, went to this date on Friday. Like he got like in a suit. I got like a nice dress because it was like at Bimbo's. It was like a show. He's like a Vegas lounge singer that does covers. And it was Richard Shees. I had never heard of.
Cute.
And it was awesome. It was like a great date, right? And like vibing like through the week too, like just hearing from him a lot. But then I will say the back of my mind, it's tough because I'm like, I want a guy that's like always texting me and like wants to chat. But in my mind, I'm like, is he doing this because he's used to having someone else there.
Right.
And I just like couldn't get that out too. So I'm like, okay, I'm going on Saturday or Friday. And in my mind too, I'm like, I don't know. Like I definitely wanted to hook up with him, but I was also like, this is still early. And like, I don't know, it's only date 2, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, not fully sure if I was going there or not. So we had a great time. A friend of his was also at the show. And the reason I bring this up, like we were talking to her and her friends. I hear them like talking about like his ex coming and like picking up stuff from her home and stuff. And I'm just like, I am so the rebound right now. Like that is like what is in my mind. I'm like, they know that I am like the rebound too, right? Like another friend of theirs was like, oh, we saw you guys, like, we're wondering if you were going to go in for the makeout, you know, like all this stuff. And I'm just like, I didn't realize all these people were watching, right?
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's like that was just like clear that I'm like, okay, like this is still very much part of this person's life, which understandable. So anyways, we like went and got another drink. We shared a cab. Like we made out again, but like not really like, I couldn't tell if he like wanted to take it to the next level. Like, I don't know if he had like been like, oh, do you want to like come up? I probably would have. But I also wasn't going to like put it out there either. I was kind of just like unsure of like where it was going. So I just like dropped him off and then I went back to my house in an Uber.
Okay.
So,
and how did you feel at that point?
I mean, he like texted like cute things when I got back. I mean, I think I like felt like I liked him, but I was like, I still felt like he just wasn't in the same place as me.
That knowledge was not in your head?
Yeah, it would have still kept.
Would you have liked him more?
Yeah, I think I would have seen it as more of a prospect.
Got it. Okay.
I think I like put it into a separate box, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So anyways, like the next week we're talking. I don't know what it was. Like I asked like what he was up to this week and was like, oh, like, would you want to like meet up or something? And it was kind of like, not a vague answer, but he's like, can I get back to you tomorrow? I'm just like figuring like some stuff out. I think maybe I was also like, I'm like, oh, I could be into this person. I know he's not a viable prospect. So I'm like, something within me, I was like, I need to cut this now.
Yeah.
Like I just like felt that. And I was like, I wrote him and I was like, actually, like, I know I'm the one that suggested Wednesday, but like, I don't think I can make Wednesday, which I actually couldn't make for other reasons. But, and then he was like, oh, no problem. Like, would you want to like come watch like a game with me on like Thursday? And I was like, actually, like, I don't think we're in the same place right now. And I think maybe we should like halt it. Like, I've had a really good time with you and like, it's been awesome, but I just feel like we're in totally different places. And he was like, I'm glad you said something. Like, I'm kind of freaking out about dating, and like brought it up. And it's almost like he was like relieved a bit that I like said this. So I was like, okay, like think that this was the right call. In my mind, like, not that I didn't like him, but I just like think maybe because I'm like jaded from dating apps that they're like, you go on a date with someone, it doesn't work out, you probably just don't ever see them again.
Right.
But he was like, oh, we're staying friends, like very insistent on it. And I was like, you know, I'm not really like looking for friends. Like I'm kind of like looking for like my person.
Right.
And he's like, don't be like ridiculous. We really get along well. Like basically like, why would we like throw this away? Like he basically was like, I enjoy kissing you and think you're really pretty. And I'm like, well then isn't this just like a casual situation? And he's like, well, like if you tell me to like stop, like we can be totally platonic. He's like, that's how you know like you met someone cool, is that you want to be platonic with them regardless. Basically he's like, this isn't even a conversation. Like we're still talking, like we're friends. And I'm just like, okay, like I don't even know what to say. And I'm like, logically, this makes sense to me. Because like his other point that I think he can probably elaborate more on is like, sometimes relationships like need to build on friendship. And he's like, how are we going to get to know each other?
Right.
If like we just stop talking. And I think in my mind, I was like, oh, like that's kind of like what I was saying, right? I'm like, this isn't a viable prospect, so I'm going to just like cut it out. But his point was more like, how do we keep getting to know each other?
So throughout all your exchanges, did you ask him what he's looking for?
Yeah. And he doesn't know. Because I said to him, I was like, I don't know. I'm not going to speak for all women, but like it's a little concerning because of the time. Like it's been so fresh, right? And I'm like, maybe someone casual would totally be fine. And he's like, I don't even know if I'm looking for something casual. It's like kind of a turn off. So we can ask him more what he's looking for. But if the vibe he gave to me was just more like, I'm new to this whole dating thing. Like I'm super confused right now. Like he said, like, I feel like I should just like delete all these apps right now. Like Like,
it's overwhelming.
yeah, it's like I'm coming out of someone from 12 years.
Well, he's probably never done online dating before.
No, I was his first date, which is kind of ironic to go on a date with a podcast host about dating as your first date.
And where do you guys stand right now?
I guess we've moved into a friend's territory. We haven't seen each other.
But what does a friend's territory mean?
I think that's the part that I'm not sure. And I think I was like trying to understand like where my hesitations come from. And I think it comes from the past. Like, I think because I've been in situations before that have either been like a friends with benefits or like someone that I know isn't in the place to be in a relationship, but it's consumed me still. And I think to me, I was like, I'm getting out at a good time because I'm not invested. Because we've been on 2 dates, even though they were really fun and enjoyed his company. It's not like we slept together, like at that next level. So maybe there is a potential that we could just like hang out and be platonic. I guess that's TBD. Like, I think that's the part that like makes me question it. Like, logically, everything he said makes sense. Like, why cut each other out? We like get along well. He's like, you can keep dating. Like, I'm going to be like exploring my single self and like we get to know each other at the same time and see what happens. And on like one hand, that sounds great. Like, what's the harm in that? But then the other side of me is like, because of past, I'm like concerned that let's say we do end up talking and hanging out all the time. Like, am I going to become invested in someone that's not ready?
What is the best case scenario here?
I mean, I guess you could look at it in a couple ways, right? And I think maybe because it's too early that I don't know what the best case scenario is. One best case scenario is I could meet someone else. He could either meet someone else or do his single self, and we're friends and we just enjoy each other's company. Like, I said I'm not looking for new friends, but at the same time, like, if I did meet someone great, like, I'm not opposed to it. Like, I did enjoy his company. So that's one. And then the other is like things develop over time. And I think right now the verdict is out of what is the ideal because I don't know well enough.
And I admire this exploratory stage. How does it actually work? Are you going to reach out to him to hang out, or is the onus on him?
Yeah, I don't know.
And when you guys do hang out, is kissing, touching, sex allowed?
Right. Well, in my opinion, it puts it in different territories.
And what is that?
I mean, I think if we just are platonic, in my opinion, is like no kissing, no sex.
Okay. All right.
Like that.
Be curious what he thinks. Yeah.
No, I mean, we talked about it and he basically said like he's open to it, but if I don't do it, if I don't want it, he's also open to not do it. At least that's what he said to me. We'll see how that plays out.
And what is the worst case scenario?
For me, I think the worst case scenario is, let's say we get to know each other even better and just like talking all the time and like hanging out all the time. And then it's like, I'm getting attached and it's a dead end.
Yeah.
That's the worst case scenario. And I think that's risky to me.
Yeah. Okay. What are you curious to hear him talk about?
I'm actually curious to hear what you'll say to him, or if that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Understandably, if it was me in this situation, I would have no idea what I was doing right this minute. And I think he's just dove into dating apps, trying to figure it out. Curious if I scared him on some level. Like scared him that he wasn't expecting to meet someone that he like actually like enjoyed being around so soon. Also, what is he looking for? But I'm not quite sure if he knows. So I'm not sure if that will come out.
Okay.
And I think the other thing is like what he envisions in this friendship arrangement.
Yeah.
I think that would be interesting. And I communicated a little of what he said, but I would be curious to hear how he describes it more. Like why he wanted to stay in each other's lives. Like why wasn't he just like ready to like let it go? Because like the same thing happened literally, like I mentioned, with this other guy that got out of a 7-year relationship that was engaged. So this is like one step beyond that. But we basically just decided we were not in the same place. It was a very amicable like goodbye, but there was no like we're gonna like stay in touch.
No.
Like it was like if we see each other, maybe we'll do a friendly hello, but like there was no like we had a bond that we're gonna hang out.
Right.
And I will admit this has not really happened with many people from dating apps.
Right.
So maybe it's just him being new to dating.
Well, he's such
apps.
a unicorn.
He's not tainted by dating apps yet. So maybe that's part of it, is that he's just like in a different place. But I'd be curious because I think he has a very fresh perspective, which I think is interesting for people on this show to hear. And that's part of why, one, I wanted the 2-way interview, but also I think we have all these people on this show that are dating all the time and have been in the trenches for years, or like, even if they're not like always single, they come in and out of relationships. Like this is
Right.
someone that is like fresh. And I'd be curious to hear just like his feelings towards modern dating.
Yeah. Anything else before we bring him in?
I think that's it.
Okay, you get out of here. I'm going to get Jeff. Hey, Jeff. Nice to meet you for the first time. How awkward is this?
It's not awkward.
You go on a date with my co-host and my friend Julie, and now you get to go on a podcast.
Yep. So this is like our third date, right? For me.
Typical third date.
Yeah.
So just a little background about Jeff. He has been in San Francisco for 3 years. He literally lives down the block from me. I can probably see his apartment from my apartment. Originally from Seattle, he's 38 years old. He's divorced, hooking up and having fun, single and actively going on dates, and dating for the first time after 12 years.
Yeah.
OMG.
OMG.
So let's just start with that. What's
Yeah.
your backstory? You were married for a long time, and how long have you
Yeah.
been separated for?
Well, like early August.
Okay,
So it's pretty recent.
Pretty recent. If you've been married for 12 years, that means you've never done online dating till now.
That is correct. So it was immediately after we decided to split up. It was amicable and mutual. She's still a really good friend of mine. She moved to Berkeley. I downloaded Tinder, downloaded Bumble, downloaded Hinge, a couple weird ones too that like, I don't even know, Hilly or
Hilly, I don't
Hood,
know.
or I just downloaded them all because I was so excited, honestly, because I was like, we missed that whole wave. It was like
Yeah.
when we met, MySpace was like, we were on MySpace, we didn't have Facebook. You know?
Right.
We would like flirt on MySpace. We'd do those little quizzes like Coke or Pepsi, and like
Right,
that's how we flirted.
exactly.
So I was like, this has got to be super different. So I downloaded Tinder. Literally, like I met Jules on Hinge, by the way.
Jules,
which
I
is,
love
like-
how you're calling her Jules. By now, the third unofficial date, her name's now Jules.
Yeah, she
Going by
hates it. She
nicknames.
hates it. So, but yeah, no, Tinder was like super intense. Actually, like I was like trying to flirt with this girl on Tinder, and I was like, she was like, I like to get in trouble, and I was like, oh, what kind of trouble do you like? And I thought like, oh, maybe we'll smoke a blunt or something. And she was like, the kind that ends with me getting fucked in the ass, and I was like, oh
shit.
yeah. So it was like unmatched. Like that was really scary. I was like hyperventilating. Like, is this what dating is now? You know, like so.
I'm actually surprised that you thought that was scary. I thought after 12 years of not having tried dating or online dating, you'd be like, yeah, I'm down. Let's do it.
I mean, that was a little fast, you know. Like,
Okay. Now we got to bring it back to Julie because that's why we're here
Yeah.
anyway. You go on Hinge and you saw Julie's profile. What were some of the things that drew you to her profile?
well, Jules has a really nice smile. That was one thing where like I can tell like she would be like, I don't know, an engaging conversation, which is really like right now I'm just trying to get to know people first, friends first, which like seems like the line for guys, right? But like actually I really don't want anything other than that. You know, like I really want to, you know, I spent 12 years with a person where we grew apart and in the last 3 or 4 years weren't honest about it to each other. And so it made me realize that like I'd like to really get to know someone. It's like we tried to make it work for the beginning time and then it didn't work to the point where we actually, you know, fell apart. So I'm very more like apprehensive about just like jumping into stuff now, you know, because at age 27 when we got engaged, I think that's about right. 26 maybe. I don't even know. But, you know, like it felt like that's what you're supposed to do. You know, you're supposed to get, oh, I'm sorry. You're supposed to get, I got a little scotch here because I'm a little nervous, but it's okay. I used to do radio interviews back in the day. Like my former career was a rapper. So I'd do like radio show interviews and I'd always have a bottle with me. It was like my crutch, my little safety net.
When you were a rapper, did you have to go on the radio to talk about your dating life? Probably not.
No, never. Yeah, no one was interested in my dating life at all back then. It was usually like a shock that I was married. That was kind of weird. Yeah.
And here we are talking about your love life. So you were drawn to her smile and you think she'd be a good time, right? You think she'd be fun.
You know, I didn't know about the podcast until our first, or no, it was before we went on our first date. We went to Peacekeeper, which is like right across from my condo, actually. And she was a great date, actually.
So rewind for me a little bit. You saw her profile, you guys match or whatever.
So Hinge, what I like about Hinge, and not like obviously very new to the apps, is like it starts with a conversation period. It's not like a swipe thing like Tinder where you're like, oh, you're cute or whatever. Hinge is great because you just respond, they fill out questions. And I think maybe Jules responded to one of my things, but like you have prompts and then instead of liking someone, you just like answer their prompt. And so you're like already boom, like right in a conversation. I feel like this is an ad for Hinge, but like so far it's been my best experience, you know, like.
And do you remember your conversation with Jules?
I mean, I could probably pull it up. Like I could
Can you pull it up?
Oh gosh, this is going to be so embarrassing. So I had a prompt on my profile that said, I get along best with people who blank, just like Cards Against Humanity. And my answer was like to drink socially, love both going out and staying in, are brutally honest about what they want, don't try to change, and don't change for me. And she liked the answer, but didn't say anything. So that goes in your messages. I saw it, and oh boy. So on Saturday, I replied in the morning at 9:30 a.m., hi, too hungover to say anything clever, but your Halloween costume sounds awesome. So Jules on her profile had a response to like, what was your best Halloween costume? And she said probably a bottle of sriracha, which she totally should have a picture of in her dating profile too. And I noticed because we've seen each other on the other apps too. I think I saw her in Bumble, and she does have it on there, but like you got to have it with the prompt. Jules, come on. And she replied, haha, yeah, it's hard to be clever at 9:30 a.m. on a Saturday. Smiley face emoji. And I said, yeah, company party last night. Ugh. Ugh is like my go-to, I think. I always say ugh. I'm like, yeah, it's like a period.
Trademark.
Yeah, definitely. And she replied, that was one of my better ones. Ha, was just going to ask you what you were up to at Yahoo. I work at Yahoo. And Jules worked at Yahoo for 8 years. We're in Oakland with Yahoo folks, yes. That was my reply. She said, I worked at Yahoo for 8 years. Spoiler alerted that one. I replied, yes, I work for a failing 90s internet brand. Are you impressed? Gosh, all my friends at Yahoo are going to listen to this. You guys know we're a failing 90s internet brand, right? Like that's how, I know it's our responsibility to change that image, but that's how people see us, including me. And I said, oh, snap, in Sunnyvale, because that's where the main office is. She said, yeah, so very haha. I actually started in Boston and transferred out here, worked between SF and Sunnyvale.
So scroll through that conversation. Tell me, at what point did you think I want to meet her?
Well, honestly, it was just the fact that we had the conversation. Like, obviously, I mean, she's attractive, so that's easy, right? Like, you want to meet someone who's attractive, but then the conversation felt natural. Like, we're just talking, we keep talking, and we had something in common that, like, she worked at Yahoo, I did too. So we talked about our jobs. Really early on, I tossed her my creative portfolio website because I don't know how this works at all, but I figure like safety is probably a big issue for women, and I want to be open, honest, and upfront. So I'm just kind of like, here's who I am, like here's where I live, here's what I do, here, you know, like almost like vetting myself. And so I tossed her my website, which has all my creative work from Yahoo, all my rap career stuff, which is a question that often comes up, and also should probably get out of the way because it's very offensive comedy. So like if that's not really your style, like we probably wouldn't get along, you know?
Right.
Like if you don't like South Park or Always Sunny in Philadelphia, that kind of thing, you probably would hate my music. And that's okay. But like you don't want to be stuck on a date with me. So just like get that out of the way.
You sound like a veteran online dater already.
No, I just, I don't know. I'm very into like radical honesty and just, I don't know. I figure like, and empathy is like a really important quality to have. So I figure that, you know, putting myself in other people's shoes, I'm scared, you know, so they've got to be terrified. And I'm this weird looking dude with like this weird background. So our whole first date at Peacekeeper was basically me like giving her all my red flags. I know she already did an interview, so I'm sure she told you, and I have a lot. But it was interesting, and she's really like open-minded person, and it was really great for the first date because it made me less afraid to like be honest with people about like, you know, that stuff.
So you guys have a great conversation, and then how did that become a date?
Well, I think she actually, like, Jules is a pro for sure, because she was like, let's just toss the digits. Like, she, like, you know, went to number, and then once you're texting, that's like, I don't want to, a little bit more intimate, you know, like, and she went pretty quick to just like, we should just meet and have drinks, which I liked, because I feel like I've had on all these apps, like, conversations that just kind of fizzle out. So it's good to like get in person and see, like, is there a connection?
Right. Okay. So then you guys set up a date. Did you recommend
Oh, for sure. Peacekeeper, yeah.
I always want to say peacemaker. I don't know why.
Yeah.
You show up. Who's there first?
Ooh, I was there first. I live across the street. So,
right.
And like,
okay.
I didn't want her to show up even like 5 minutes early and go through that weird thing of this guy showing up or whatever. So I showed up 10 minutes early.
And what was going through your mind as you were waiting for her?
I don't know. I didn't really have any expectations, honestly. Like, I didn't think anything like, since it was my first time on a date in 12 years, I just was kind of like, oh, this is different. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I've been trying to like curb expectations for anything.
She shows up. First impressions.
First impressions, she had a big grin, so I knew she'd be like fun and talkative, and she was wearing the same romper that she was wearing in like 3 of her pictures on Hinge. Just to give her some shit. But I mean, I dress like I'm an 8th grade skater boy, so.
Do you like the romper?
Yeah, romper's cool. It's fine.
So you weren't surprised by her wardrobe choice?
No, I actually, you know what I appreciated? She was clearly wearing something that she felt comfortable in. Because like I was kind of doing the same thing. Like I didn't want to overdress and like set this weird expectation that I dress nice. So I just kind of like backwards hat and jeans and like how I would dress every day if we were actually like a couple. You know what I mean? It's like, so there wasn't any like weird bait and switch like, oh yeah, this guy like dresses nice. It's like, yeah, that's the one thing I have in my closet that's nice.
Did you already have a drink by the time she showed up?
Yeah.
Yeah, or several?
Well, but I hadn't finished it. Yeah, no.
Okay.
I ordered it to open the tab, and then like when she sat down, I was like, you can go grab your drink. It's on my tab. That was another weird thing, being hyper aware of just sort of like her getting her own drink, like seeing the bartender make it, that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Why is that so weird?
I don't know. It's just like something I wanted to consider, you know, instead of like going and getting it and bringing it over, because I don't know what that's like. I'm a stranger, you know, like, does she trust me? I don't know. So like, I like the kind of autonomy of being like, this drink's on me, but like you go order it from the bartender, just put it under my name. And then she knows my first and last name. Like just that level of comfort, I think is probably nice.
Oh, interesting. But what made you want to do this? Had you heard kind of horror stories from other women? Okay.
Absolutely. Family members, ex-girlfriends, like.
Oh, so you're extra sensitive to this.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So she gets her own drink. You guys sit down. How did the rest of the date go?
It was great. I mean, we talked for about 2 hours at Peacekeeper. I think we had 2 or 3 drinks each. It was interesting because it wasn't like going necessarily great. Like there wasn't like instant chemistry, but we're having a good conversation. So it was like we didn't want to stop talking. It wasn't like this weird thing like, oh, this person's not for me, I'm out kind of thing. But it wasn't this instant like, oh yeah, this is totally it either. But it was like, oh, like I think we're becoming friends, you know, which is like exactly what I wanted. And we wandered down the block to Stookies for more cocktails, which they have like these craft cocktails, and the bartenders, it's like I think it's called Club Modern. So it's like retro kind of, they got the wax mustaches and they do the, you know, shaking the cocktails. So we got a couple French 75s, which is like a champagne cocktail. Yeah, we got a little drunker, and then she took an Uber home.
If you didn't feel instant chemistry, but you felt like the conversation was flowing, what made you want to keep the date going?
I like talking to her. And like, that's all I was there for. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like I had purposely, I told her this too, like left my place messy because I don't invite people over when it was messy, because I do live across the street. So I feel like that'd be like, of all the red flags I introduced to her, the most that I'm inviting this person to a bar across the street from where I live. So it's like, my place is messy. No matter how well we get along, you're not coming over, you know, like cock block myself.
Pre-cock block.
Yeah.
When you guys were at the second bar, was there chemistry building, or were you still feeling this kind of friendship building?
I think we were just getting drunker. I mean, we did kiss the first night, like, but I think, did she not say that?
Where did this kiss happen?
I think it was in the bar.
You think, or you don't?
I think it was inside the bar, yeah.
Can you confirm that, or you're just
I think
assuming?
We were sitting at the bar, and then there was a kiss outside the bar. I'm pretty sure.
Scale 1 to 10. How sure are you? 10 being
I think
really
like
sure.
a 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 kisses then.
Yeah, 2 kisses.
Were they long kisses, or were they makeouts?
They weren't like shove your tongue in your mouth kind of thing. They were kind of like kiss pause, like look at each other, kiss pause kind of.
Jeff, holy shit.
Yeah.
12 years out of the dating game. You go on a date with Jules, who you meet on Hinge.
Yeah.
And you guys are possibly kissing inside a bar and possibly drunk kissing outside the bar.
Yep.
What's going through your mind at this point? The first person you've kissed since your wife.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
Oh. I guess I should have clarified.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's not the first person you've kissed since you and your wife separated. She's what, the second? Third?
I don't know. I don't really keep tabs on that sort of
fine.
thing.
All
It
right.
was the first date for sure.
Okay.
That's interesting because a date kind of sets expectations for people whether or not they want them. And so when we went on a second date, I took her out to this concert, plug for Richard Cheese, really funny Vegas lounge band. They do like Frank Sinatra style Snoop Dogg songs, right? So like super fun. I thought it was a pretty good date.
But did you already have this event planned before meeting Julie, or?
Yes, I had the 2 tickets and they were going to be for me and my ex. But, interestingly enough, as we grew apart, like she had seen Richard Cheese with me before. I was like, I hate this. So I knew when I bought the tickets too, I'd probably even have to go with a friend. But I was like, I really want to see this. So I invited her.
But you bought the
first.
tickets when you were married.
Yeah, way before, like when they announced the
so you already had these
I had
2
them already.
tickets.
Our date was on Tuesday and it was on Friday, and like it went well enough and I didn't really have anyone I was interested in. So I was like, hey, let's just go to this on Friday. She's like, cool, I'm into it. Let's go. And that went well too. Then we were like holding hands and stuff at the show. And she kind of said like, I don't know if you're ready to be dating yet. And I actually think she might be right about that. Cause like just dating, cause it felt like we're like jumping into being a couple. We're like, I still do just like, and I like Jules a lot. I want to be her friend and maybe we would be a couple, but like already like being dressed nice, which was my mistake. Like I was like, let's dress nice. And that's this Vegas lounge band. It was like already like into romance before friendship. And so like, I don't think I really was ready for that, but I was also like, chill, just take stuff as it comes. And then the next week she's like, hey, want to get drinks on Thursday? I was like, sure. This is on my birthday, by the way. She's like, hey, want to get drinks on Thursday? She's like, sure. And then she's like, actually, like direct response after I said, sure. Actually, let's just not do this anymore. And I was like, okay, it's cool. That was a bad birthday. But like not only from
Does she know that was your birthday?
She did not. No.
So wait, she asked you out on, when was your birthday?
Tuesday
she asked
after, for a third date. Yeah.
So she asked you to go out on your birthday without knowing it's your birthday. And then she reneged.
Yes.
Okay.
And like cut it off. Yeah. And other crazy things that happened that day. My ex was like, I left my birth control at your place. Can I pick it up? By the way, happy birthday. I was like, wow, that's a dope birthday text. And it was like the only one I had that day. So that happened first. And then one of my really close friends is going through some health issues. And he had some emergency surgery pop up. And I was up at the dog park with Lola, my French bulldog. And he called to say goodbye.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it was like heave crying in the park. Well, I will say out of all the dating apps, the dog park is the best one. Like just like real person, like meeting people with other dogs and like actually like talking to them and just like, I don't know, bonding
really
over
connecting.
your dogs. Yeah. And so I'd been kind of like my most exciting prospect since I've been single has been this red-haired girl with blue eyes who I don't know her name that's always at the dog park. And I make sure to I just talk to her a little bit, right? Like I don't want to be like too invasive or obvious. And so, we just like, I'll let it be what it is. And she was there that day and saw me crying and like picked up her dog and left. And I was like, this birthday sucks.
Worst birthday ever.
Worst birthday ever.
Wow. So she asked you to hang out on your birthday without knowing it's your birthday, to be fair. And then she reneged because she was like, you're not ready to be dating. And I think we should just stop doing this. So what is your response to that?
Let's take a quick breather because I think it's important to talk about what products you're putting into your body, especially sex products. Have you ever stopped to think about that? I never did until I learned about Lola, a female-founded company known for organic cotton, BPA-free tampons, pads, and liners. But did you know they also have sex products? Unlike the products you're used to on the market, Lola's products are formulated to deliver the sensation and reliability you deserve without unnecessary irritating additives. It's no secret that my favorite Lola products are the condoms. They're made out of natural rubber latex and individually tested for contraception and STI protection, and they feel damn good. And a great companion to the condoms is the Lola Personal Lubricant, featuring a mess-free one-click pump system with a water-based formula made with aloe vera, and it's completely hypoallergenic. With Lola, you get everything delivered to your door, hassle-free. For Dateable listeners only, you get 30% off your first month subscription. Just visit mylola.com and enter the code DATEABLE30 when you subscribe. Again, mylola.com and enter the code DATEABLE30 when you subscribe. Now, back to the show.
she asked you to hang out on your birthday without knowing it's your birthday, to be fair. And then she reneged because she was like, you're not ready to be dating. And I think we should just stop doing this. So what is your response to that?
I think she's right. I mean, like, I think that we are friends. She also was like, so we don't have to talk anymore too. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, nothing's different. Like, we should still talk. We can still become friends. Like, I don't know what it will be. I don't know if she's attracted to me or if we'd be a good couple, or probably don't even have enough similar interests, you know, because I'm like, from the first date, I was like, I think I'm too wild for you, you know, like there's like stuff I do, stuff I'm into that I don't think is her cup of tea.
Like that, like what?
I'm a webcam model.
What? You are?
Yeah.
What does that mean? You take off your clothes?
Yeah, online for other people for money.
Ooh, we should do another episode with you. How
Sure.
often do you do this?
About twice a week. It's definitely just for fun. But I would say I almost make more money doing that than I did rapping.
And then you work at Yahoo?
And then I work at Yahoo.
I'm
getting fired now.
Do your coworkers know this is what you do?
Yeah, because I tell people like I'm honest about it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you're a webcam model. What else? What are the other crazy, wild interests that you have?
Well, I pretty much done everything under the sun, just like with people. Like one of my ex-girlfriends was a prostitute. So that put me on to being super honest with people, because she was a super cool person. She still is. She's a mom and happily married now. So good for her. But that was just heartbreaking to learn, like, after you already fell in love with someone, you know, because like, and so that really hurt. And I think, you know, I probably would have stayed with her. She said that in the first week even. And so it's like, I'm always just going to tell people my shit, like, up front, you know, because the only thing that hurt was the lie. And that's what it always is, you know?
So you're really upfront with her. She's really upfront with you. You both decide that you're not ready to jump into a relationship. Do you feel like she wants to be in a relationship?
I got the impression, yeah. And I mean, it's just, I think that, so especially from dating at 38 now, and like a lot of the women I've been seeing are around my age, this fury to have kids is like wild. Like I've actually had a girl be like, just give me a kid, like I'll sign papers, like give me the kid, you can go do your own thing. Like I just want a kid. Yeah. And she's only 31. And I'm like, look, my sister is 39, just had a kid. He's healthy, happy. She didn't meet her husband until she was 37. Like, you have time. Like, don't rush into it. And so it's like, if you want to bone, that's one thing or whatever. But
that's a general vibe you're getting from women online.
I mean, not even general vibe, but just like outright, like explicitly stated, like, I'm looking for this, not from Jules, but like, you know, from other people. Like,
but is Julie also giving you those vibes?
I think Julie is definitely looking for a long-term relationship.
Why do you say that?
I guess it's just an assumption, but I think from things feeling more romantic up front. And I don't know, maybe I'm totally wrong. And maybe that's something I should communicate with her. But that's also why I was like, cool, feel it out more. You know, like we'll see what she's about. Cause like I think she is probably correct that like, I don't know about jumping right into another relationship, but also like I'm single, got nothing to do. I live in San Francisco. Like I want to go out, have fun, meet people and that kind of thing. So like, it's fun to go on dates. I don't know. It's a weird place to be in, I guess. Cause it's sort of like, I don't want to dive into another marriage immediately, you know?
Well, I hope not.
Yeah.
If you two have established that you're not ready for a relationship and you get the sense that she really wants a long-term relationship, then basically it sounds like your needs are not aligned, but you still ask her to remain friends. So how do you picture this friendship working? How does it look?
It doesn't need any expectations. It's just like whatever works for her. I've been trying to do my best about like my needs behind other people's needs, especially like in the case with my ex. Like I get to live in our familiar condo that we built together with our dog, and she's off to Berkeley, like finishing up school for the first time at the same age as I am. And like, I feel like she has so much more to be afraid. It's so much more newer and scarier that I've kind of curbed any sort of like pettiness that might be there. And just like, I would love to be like, don't call me, don't talk to me, right? But like, that's not how I can be if I'm going to be her friend. You know, I have to be like, if you're having a breakdown, you call me, you talk to me. Or like, if you need money, like, I understand I have a little bit more than you right now. Like, all good. And so like, I want to put other people's agendas and like needs ahead of mine. And doing the same thing with friendships and doing the same thing even with like coworkers, you know what I mean? Like it feels a lot better than being selfish.
So by you saying that, it sounds like Julie would then have to dictate where this friendship goes.
I'd be more comfortable with that. Yeah.
Because as you carry on this new phase in your relationship, which is a friendship with Julie, if that's what you're pursuing, did you picture that you would text her every once in a while and say, do you want to hang out? Or did you picture that if Julie wants to hang out, she would reach out to you?
I don't think friendship is something that you have to set parameters around, right? Like, I just think it's like if I wake up on a Saturday morning, I feel like texting her, I will. Or like if anytime she hits me up, I respond to her, right? Like, you don't pull that bullshit where you just like, oh, we're not hooking up, so we're not talking, like you be a friend. Like it's pretty easy, right? Like you just act like this person's your friend, and like you never know where friendships can go is the thing too. Like my relationship with my ex started romantically immediately, right? Like I met her at one of my shows, which she's not proud of, and I asked her out and we went on a date, and I took her to a nice restaurant, so it was like off the cuff, like
it was
this
romance,
is romantic, yeah,
from the get-go.
Totally.
And you two never built a friendship first.
Yes.
So then that friendship came later. So you're trying to do the opposite. It's
Exactly.
building that friendship that could go somewhere. But what if there's a scenario where you do build a friendship and she starts having deeper feelings for you that you may not be able to reciprocate? Can that friendship still keep going?
I mean, I don't know if that would happen, but like that would be something that we'd have to address, I guess, at the time. And I would like to think that if she had feelings for me in that way and we had built this friendship, that it would be reciprocal, like especially if all along the way we've been honest and upfront to each other,
Right. What do you think is, you don't have to give me an answer right away, but do you think that you are truly not ready to, I wouldn't even say jump into a relationship, but to pursue a relationship because you're truly not ready? Or do you think it's just the chemistry is not there now?
That's a good question. Because obviously, like, if there was firecracker chemistry,
like the redhead,
yeah,
the redhead from the dog park.
I mean, I think I'm truly not ready, honestly, because it's like, for me, I've had 4 long relationships, that like 4 people that I've said I love you to. And usually it takes me twice as long to process it than it does as the relationship. And so if I dated her for 12 years, I might have to wait 24 years to be over it. Right. I mean, obviously the other ones were shorter. It was like high school, 6 months, college,
right,
a year and a half, like post, so they were shorter. So it's like, it took me a year to get over the 6 months girl in high school, et cetera. But I mean, hopefully, with this last one, it was kind of, I thought I was ready to date because it was already kind of, we were splitting apart and drifting apart, sleeping, facing the other way in the bed, that kind of thing, where you're not like pouring yourselves into each other, which
you're
is
not
like
connecting.
Yeah, what you really need to be doing in a relationship. And like, when we parted, it was great because we both were like, you know what, we learned this lesson of like, make those efforts towards each other,
right.
Like we gave each other vows, and it's like, we actually should have, instead of like, don't worry about, like yourself, like be a good partner.
Right.
And like, if they do the same, like you'll be good, like you'll be golden. We kind of let that fall apart, and it's too bad, but we're still homies, so it's okay.
Let's hold that thought for a second. We'll get right back to it. This episode is sponsored by Via. We all know there are things that can help set the mood in the bedroom, but did you know a little THC could also do that? Yes, Via has developed a unique blend of pleasure-enhancing cannabinoids, libido-strengthening herbs, and a low dose of THC all into one mind-blowing gummy called High Love. This gummy, wow, it will awaken your senses, increase blood flow, and intensify any sexual experience. I've been pleasantly surprised by the High Love gummies because it is just the right amount of THC for me to have a good time without feeling sleepy. And hey, if THC is not your thing, Via also offers a wide array of other gummies without it. And everything legally ships in 50 states with discreet packaging directly to your door. So if you're over 21, you can get 15% off and a free pack of award-winning Dreams THC plus CBN sleep gummies with our exclusive code DATEABLE at viahemp.com. That's VIIAHEMP.com. Let the gummies work their magic. Head to viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE to receive 15% off and one free sample of their Sleepy Dream gummies. That's viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE at checkout. Take your passion and pleasure to a whole new level with High Love from Via Hemp. Living with ADHD can be a challenge, and dating with ADHD
is definitely a challenge, we've heard many of you say, but finding the right care and proper tools needed to succeed can be life-changing. Done is an online ADHD care platform that can get you all the resources you need to help manage your ADHD. Online visits, refills, and a 24/7 care team made for you. In just 1 minute, Done's online assessment can help kickstart your ADHD treatment journey. With experienced clinicians, worry-fill refills, and online visits, you can start getting personalized care as soon as today or tomorrow. So contact an expert team that can help you around the clock and get a personalized treatment plan just for you. Here's how you do it. Take a free 1-minute assessment and book an appointment with a licensed ADHD clinician as soon as the next day. Get continuous care, one-click refills, insurance coverage, and 24/7 care team support with Done for just $79 a month, and pharmacy copays as low as $0. Visit get.donefirst.com/podcast to learn more. That's get.donefirst.com/podcast to learn more. Done. Turn ADHD into your strength.
As you know, I recently left my corporate job and I've been in total recovery mode, all about self-care. One of my new routines is the nighttime shower before bed. There's just something about washing away the day and that reflection that's been super helpful for me. I've been using one of our partners, Osea's Mega Moisture Duo. This combo body oil and body lotion are so freaking incredible. It literally feels like I'm at a spa. I realized that the secret is seaweed and other skin level ingredients that are normally reserved for face products. And that's why I was so excited when Osea became one of our partners. And, we're so grateful for partners like this because one, they keep the show going, but they're also super good for all of our listeners and for our own well-being. So if you want to have that nighttime bliss like I am doing, you can get 10% off your first order site-wide with code DATEABLE at oseamalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60. So head to oseamalibu.com and use the code DATEABLE for 10% off. Let us know which products you end up going with. Share them in social. Super excited to see what you end up choosing.
All right, I think I have enough material here to bring Julie back into the room, and then we'll do a little regroup with both of you.
Oh,
you
nice.
ready?
Okay, yeah.
All right, let me go get Julie.
Julie's back in the room. Yay. Reunited. Julie and Jeff. Or should I say Jules?
Oh, yeah, he's given me this nickname.
Which is what Jeff kept calling you. Oh, Jeff and Jules. It actually sounds really good. Okay, so this is a really interesting conversation because I think from what I heard, Julie's perspective was a lot more simple than Jeff's perspective.
Oh.
I think what Julie thought was going on is actually just scratching the surface of what is happening beneath the layers. Okay. The commonalities are you both found each other attractive on Hinge. Actually shared the conversation you guys had on Hinge. I found
I read it.
I found it not that riveting at all.
No,
but I was like,
we're cheesy as fuck, dude.
but I was kind of like, where in this conversation did you feel really compelled to meet Julie? And Jeff said, it was the fact that we were having this conversation was enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't the subject matter. It was the fact that this conversation didn't die.
It was snappy. I think that's what it was. It was like fast.
He was drawn to your profile because of your answer to the Halloween costume question, but question why you didn't have the sriracha costume picture in your profile. If you have the words in your profile, why not have a picture to show it? Because he really likes that picture.
He got it on the Bumble, or
good
one of the other ones.
He saw the other profiles. He's like,
haven't updated that profile in a while.
Why didn't you use it in your own profile? So this is where it gets interesting. I think Jeff is actually very sensitive to the safety of women and online dating, which probably comes from his past, like the women that he's known who've been in the sex industry, women who probably have used a lot of online dating, and the horror stories that you've heard from your friends that you know. So this feeds into some of the things that were happening. First of all, he said he gave you his work portfolio and website, not because he's trying to show you what he's done, but more like, I'm a legit person and you can do a little background check on me.
Oh, don't worry. I'd stalk you on my own, but thank you.
But for
She did a LinkedIn. I actually that was a good move. She's like, I looked you up on LinkedIn. I was like, that's so smooth because I feel like people don't think of that as a place to hide their identity, you know?
That's very true. But
So
for
smart.
Julie, what she was drawn to was the fact that you had a very creative side to you. And so it's nice that you have like this normal whatever, like you have this Yahoo job, but also you have this creative side, which is you were a former rapper, and you know Julie loves rappers.
I know, you were like, this is a red flag. I'm like, this is a high point.
So then comes meeting up for the date, and Jeff really believes in radical honesty, and I think this again comes from his background where maybe someone was hiding information that was highly sensitive that came out later in the relationship that was hurtful. So he felt the need to give you all the red flags up front. And that's something you talked about in your interview, Julie, was he gave me all the red flags. And that's when I knew everything came out.
It's scary, right?
I don't think it's a bad thing, though.
What's so fascinating about this is the old days of dating with the rules and everything is like there's date talk and then there's things you shouldn't be talking on your date, like your past relationships and religion and politics. But Jeff came in and was like, I'm going to give you everything that you should be worried about me.
I haven't told her about like 2 of my colonoscopies, which I think is probably like
I
not the best.
actually do appreciate that. Like, I like conversations that are more real, that aren't like surface level either.
And Jeff appreciated the fact that you wanted to move the conversation offline. And you were the one kind of instigating that. And that was something you saw not many people do with online dating, which is something we hear all the time too.
Yeah.
Most people just let the conversations die. And he said, she's a pro. So the first impressions of each other are pretty much similar, on par. You found each other attractive. You really liked each other's energy, the openness that you both brought to the date. He did notice that you wore the same romper that you have in 3 of your photos. So it must be like your favorite date
I
outfit.
actually thought about that as I put it on, but it was like such a warm night. But I like the thought actually did.
Well,
go
if it's
through
your
my mind.
go-to, the thing was like, I said I actually liked it because like, oh, that's what you're comfortable in, you know? Because I was like, I dress like how I'm comfortable, you know? Like I didn't want to like dress up and like give you this idea that I was like some dude that doesn't look like shit all the time, you know? Like,
So he liked the fact that you know what you're comfortable in, you know what you look good in, and then you stuck with it. But it is kind of funny that she has the same romper in like
And it
3
is
of her
funny that
photos.
you noticed.
So
the 5 pictures to go off of, you know? It's like I'm looking for the person, like, oh, it's definitely her. Like,
this is where it gets mind-blowing for me, okay? So when I talked to Julie about the date, she said this to me. She said, when I showed up, he said, I have a tab open, go ahead and order your drink. And she thought that was a little bit out of the ordinary because normally a guy would say, let me get you a drink. And she thought, okay, I guess I'm getting my own drink on your tab, of course, but I'm going up to the bar to order it. Jeff brought up the same scenario without me prompting. And he said, again, going back to safety, he said, I wanted her to feel the autonomy of getting her own drink and seeing the bartender make that drink so that she feels safe, that I'm not bringing the drink over to her.
yeah, like
Because
you wouldn't
I
know if I
appreciate
like
that,
slipped something
yeah.
in your drink. Like I just feel like that's the way to go.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean,
like,
Because he is a stranger.
That's true. I mean, I don't think it
weird.
was like a bad thing in any way. Like, I wouldn't say that was like, I guess it was different than other dates I've been on, but it wasn't negative.
Right. So as the date went on, as you guys are getting drunker and drunker, this was also where you two have some common feelings about each other. Jeff said there wasn't instant chemistry, but definitely a friendship was developing. And Julie kind of said the same thing, like the conversation was definitely flowing. I still wanted to be on this date with him and be in his company. I wasn't sure if he's going to be my person. It felt good to be in each other's company. So that's great. So you guys went to a second bar where maybe things got a little bit messy. Both of you said, I think we kissed at the bar. Both of you said the exact same words.
Good.
I think there was a kiss at the bar, but there was definitely a kiss outside. So that's a definitive one.
Yes,
but I think there was
remember that
definitely
for sure.
a kiss.
The other ones I'm 50-50 on.
By this point, he had already decided that he's going to take you on this date, the second date, right? Which happened a few days later. And so for this event, Jeff already had 2 tickets that he had bought when he was still with his ex.
I wondered if that was the case.
it was in like June, like as soon as they listed it.
And
'cause it
Julie
sells out.
thought this is an event that she probably would have never thought about going to. And she was so happy to go because it was such a unique experience.
Yeah.
Also a great excuse to get dressed up, which is something a lot of San Franciscans don't have the opportunity to do.
It's fun.
So she had a really good time, but definitely was like a random event for a date, but a really good date, she thought. Everything went well. And he said, then we started holding hands and to show affection. And I think that, you didn't say these exact words, but I think that's when it started giving you red flags. Romance is starting to develop, going in that direction. Here, correct me.
I wouldn't say red flags. I think it was on the first date where Jules was actually like, "Are you sure?"
He kept calling you Jules.
Yeah, he's giving me this nickname.
Are you sure? Are you sure you're ready to date? And I was like, yeah, because like I had been so removed and distant from my ex, anyways. Like I felt like, of course, immediately I'm ready to date. And then it was like when we were holding hands in the second date, I was like, wait, this is like instant romance, and like I'm not sure if I'm ready.
And
like
the
that, so not red
backstory,
flag, but
not red flag, but the backstory of this is that he and his ex started romantic first and jumped straight into romance, and the friendship developed later. So I think Jeff's philosophy now is let's develop a strong friendship before we jump into romance, right?
Which explains why you had the comments that you did.
Exactly. But this is, I find this quite unfortunate. Okay, so I think from Julie's perspective, she was kind of like, I need to protect myself. If I'm dating someone that seems really awesome and I really click with, but he's not ready. He's not the same place as me. Why do I keep this going? So she was like conflicted and debating whether she should keep seeing you or not.
Oh, so I'm really awesome.
And that's when
I had fun. Yeah.
According to Jeff, you had asked to hang out on a third date, right? And then you instantly reneged and said, let's not do this.
Yeah, I did realize I couldn't actually do it. So that part was true, but I did get like second thoughts on the whole thing.
It was in with like 2 minutes. It was like, it was amazing.
It was quick.
2
It
minutes.
was like 2 minutes. It was like, you want to go out on Thursday? I was like, yeah. And then you're like, no, let's just not do this anymore. It was like 2 minutes.
That is not what happened.
But can we just take out the text messages now?
Yeah, that was totally not what happened.
Is there a timestamp?
Should we bet money? I'm going to say like, I'm going to
Wait,
say.
don't say anything yet. Perspective is you asked him to hang out on third date on Thursday.
It was Wednesday because we had an event Thursday, so
Right.
it definitely
Well,
wasn't
this
Thursday.
text message chain was on a Tuesday.
And
Yes.
and
For
you
a Thursday.
instantly
No, for-
took it back and said, I can't do this.
I'm saying within 5 minutes.
Within
No.
5 minutes.
That
And
is
Julie's saying,
definitely
no,
not what
she had
happened.
second thoughts, but definitely not that quickly after.
So what happened was thinking about my week, and I talked to you about your week, and it just seemed like both were kind of crazy. So I'm like, I could do Wednesday. That was like my thought process. And then we had this event on Thursday that was like a dress up event. And I was like running through my mind, like, oh shoot, I have to like go get a bunch of this stuff, and like seeing what I had on my plate. So that was part of why I reneged. But then also when I was reneging, I was thinking
Find the text messages.
Okay, I will, but I'm just saying.
Stalling.
Finding the chain. Here we go. Okay. So I messaged you at 5 o'clock. I said I'd be down to squeeze and meeting up for a drink tomorrow if you're down like 8-ish. Need to do one thing right after work. You said maybe can we call it last minute? That was like 5-ish we wrapped this. And then you're like, I'm considering getting a drink because of my tattoo healing. Anyways, we left it that you were going to check in. So then 5:39. So like a half an hour later.
Half an hour.
Wait. There's more to it, right? Like I feel like when we made plans, it went boom, boom, boom. Like what happened at 5:30?
Wait, what? And then I said at 5:30, actually, I know I suggested Wednesday, but I realized I have to do shopping for Thursday, so it may not be realistic.
We changed to Thursday, and then you're like, never mind.
No, we never changed to Thursday because I had the event with her on Thursday.
Okay, maybe that's my bad.
You said, well, I'll be Seahawking so you can join.
Yeah.
But I was writing this as you were writing that.
It's so weird to see your own text on the other side, you know?
Wait, so what is the real story here?
Okay, so I was saying I can't make Wednesday. He was basically suggesting Thursday, but then at the same time I was sending the text like I think we should step back a minute.
Oh,
so it was like a crossover.
Interesting. Okay, so here's a little bomb about to drop on you.
Okay.
Little did you know Thursday was his birthday.
Tuesday, when we were talking.
Oh, you were talking on your birthday.
Yeah, we were
I
texting.
I thought you were saying she was making plans on your birthday. Okay, so little did you know you were talking on the day of his birthday. Earlier that day, his ex had called to come and pick up birth control.
Texted. It was my birthday text. She was like, hey, happy birthday. Can I pick up my birth control from the place? I was like, dope.
And Also,
She's sweet, though.
that's
She's a really
when he
good
got
person.
his phone call from his friend who's
Right.
sick. So, worst birthday ever.
I'm sorry.
But it also shows that you never know where you're catching people, right? Because
Yeah.
you really
Yeah.
don't know
Really
each other. I
don't.
mean, there's
You
no,
don't.
you weren't going to be like, hey, Jules, it's my birthday today.
Yeah.
Right.
But also, like, Julie probably thought it was just any other regular day.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to make plans. And you're writing a message as he's writing a message. And the messages seemed like they were one right after another.
Yeah, they were basically around the same time.
So it was within 5 minutes, you would say.
Well,
we're gambling,
so
folks,
we're
here.
both technically right, but because we're referring to two different messages.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I think what's going on here
like it.
is Jeff already had, like, the birthday already did not start out very
Right.
well. And I think now in your memory, this text added to a bad birthday memory.
I wouldn't say bad. I actually, like, to me, it's funny. Like, it's like all that, you know what I mean? It's like, I never pictured at 38 I'd be divorced and, you know, like all those things. Like, and honestly, I told Jules, I think my biggest red flag was my friend, you know, out of
Right.
all of it. Because it's like,
Right.
yeah, like that dude's been my best friend since 1995.
And you got this call when you're at the dog park, right?
Yeah.
And there's a girl that he
Oh my God,
is
she's gonna air me out.
that he's attracted to at the dog park he's seen, and she was there that day, and he was crying because of the news, and she
Right.
like picked up her dog and left. So another
Aw.
adding salt to injury.
Yeah, you told me that because we were
I did?
still talking.
Okay.
Like later, after you said like I want to stay friends, then you were like we were talking. Then you were like, I just got this call, and I remember being like, why did I let you go on about this when this was happening?
I mean, it's all good. Like,
I felt really bad about that.
you shouldn't. It's okay.
So I think where we can leave off is the fact that Jeff really feels like he's in an exploratory phase
Yeah.
in his life, right? Let's explore where this friendship goes. Let's see if feelings develop, and let's see who we meet, who
Yeah.
I meet. And everything's super brand new anyway when it comes to dating. So it's kind of exciting but scary at the same time. And also you're just not trying to commit to a feeling. You're not like, I want to commit to the fact that I'm looking for a girlfriend. That's not what you're looking for. It's like, I just want to explore what my feelings are at this
Actually,
point.
I think it's dating. Like, I don't want to be dating. Like, I want to hang out with people. Like, this is hella fun. Like, I could sit here, drink with y'all all night, like, play
Yeah.
cards, whatever. Like, I think I just want to be social with people and not have that weird box of, like, this is a date. There's this weird
Yeah.
pressure in a relationship now. Because how do you even really get to know someone that way?
Totally.
And then he definitely felt like you, Julie, that you're looking for a long-term relationship. Even though you may not have explicitly said it, he definitely felt that was a vibe you were giving because you wanted more romance up front, or like you were more romantic up front. And that's kind of the vibe you were putting off. So in the end, my question was, is it the timing or is it the person, right? And it's, in this case, it's very obvious that it's mostly the timing. Jeff also felt like maybe that you two do not have enough similar interests. Like he said to you that he's a little wild for you. And he went into, I feel like you were saying, well, we have a really good time, but I think maybe romantically or relationship wise, maybe I'm just like too much for her, right? And Julie says also raised concerns like, but maybe he's just not my person for that long term, but I really enjoy hanging out with him. So there's like that company aspect. So
Yeah.
this is where the conundrum is. Where do you go from here? And I asked Jeff, what does this friendship look like?
Wait, before
for
we
you?
go into that, I was trying to understand like why I was resistant to just like staying friends. Because like I think like everything you said made total sense. Like,
Yeah.
why would you just jump into a relationship with someone that you've met like a couple times, right? Like I wasn't looking at it that way either. But with dating apps too, it's just like there's some reason why that's like expected to like be on that course.
Totally.
But I think just like why I was a little resistant to just like, I think where you are right this minute is because I've had a few relationships that didn't end up working out. And it was because the men were not in the right place. And like they weren't ready for like what I was ready for. So I think I was bringing that into this. And that's obviously not fair to you, but that's like where I think my headspace is coming from, is that like I'm at a point that I'm like a little resistant of going in too deep with someone that I feel like isn't fully in or fully ready.
That makes total sense. I mean, like, and I was talking about my four loves, right? Like, I've had 4 people I've said I love you to. And one of them in college, like, after we broke up, I met just the most amazing person. It just didn't work because I was not ready, you know,
Yeah.
like I was just like, it's like the sex was whack, and like it was like everything was just like I was like distant, and it was like timing, and like super regret that, you know what I mean? Like I super hate that we met. Like timing is a lot. Timing is
for sure.
a lot. But that's why it's like, man, what if I didn't dive into that relationship with her and we had just been friends, and then I waited out that period where I'm like basically grieving or processing,
Yeah.
I don't even know, and then we dated, who knows?
Right.
And then you said something interesting is that you think from your previous experience, it takes you twice as long of the relationship to get over it, to process it. So it's going to be another 24 years before he's going to be over this
Yo,
relationship.
Jules, retirement home. Retirement home. Are you ready?
So I
We're
might
gonna
get
run that
married,
shit. We're
then
gonna
divorced,
bingo.
and then we can
Yeah.
hang out.
Later in life, it works.
Our bridesmen and groomsmen will be all our children and shit. It'll
So we
be
could be
dope.
like backups.
No.
Back up. Yeah.
No, you're like the ultimate. I don't think it's going to take you 24
No.
years,
24 years.
to process this relationship. I do think you're still processing quite a bit.
I mean, what's been month and 2 months?
Yeah, it hasn't been
It
that
hasn't
long.
been very long.
You were
Well-
with this person for a long time,
Yeah.
but I feel like you're also rediscovering yourself.
I know myself pretty well, I would say, but like I think that I'm learning something about the way I communicate in a relationship, because like you know, that long of a relationship, if we didn't really tell each other what we want, what we like that's kind of a problem. So I've definitely reassessed myself. Like I know what I like now. It's just like being upfront with people about it, and like,
Do you want to get married again?
I'm open to it. I don't know if I want to, you know, it's like, I would have to like, I would know, you know, like when it presented itself, even like with kids too. It's like, that was one of the things with my ex and I was like, we didn't want kids together, and we are kind of like, what's up with that? Cause like I thought about, I had this, managed a restaurant for a while, and I was really good friends with my assistant manager, and we're just friends, but like managing a restaurant together was like raising kids. Like we're a little bit older than them. They're always drunk and rowdy and like stealing shit and whatever. And I would totally have raised kids with her, like just like, cause I know how we operated as a unit, and like doing that. And so that's like one of those weird things too, where like if you dive right into romance, then you don't know how y'all act, you know, in that kind of scenario where you're like raising kids, quote unquote.
So, and then we went into this conversation about the friendship. And I think for me, I like parameters. I like rules. I like barriers. I just like things that I can stay with, the lanes I can stay within and the lanes that I can get out of. And so I asked, how does this friendship work? Does Julie contact you when she wants to hang out, or do you contact her when you want to hang out? And Jeff says something really interesting. He's like, I don't need those parameters.
Yeah.
It's just if I wake up on a Saturday and I want to chat with Jules, I'm going to text her or I'm going to call her. And then I was like, well, what happens if this friendship develops and let's say your romantic feelings don't develop, but hers do? What happens then? I mean, there's no answer to that, because it's like you only get to that point when it happens.
We can't live in fear, you know what I mean? Like that will like block you from so many interesting experiences, and so it's like, don't cut yourself off from getting to know these interesting people and like doing fun things. Like, don't worry about like what ifs, right? You know, just like be here now, and if you're enjoying it, then like that will lead to like whatever it leads to.
That's spoken from someone who hasn't done online dating for a while, right?
Never. I mean,
I was
unless you
his
count
first
MySpace.
date ever.
Yeah.
But apparently not the first kiss.
Oh,
Since,
okay. That's fine.
Since a divorce. He won't give me a number. But I do want to say the difference is, and I think it's great to have a fresh perspective, because for people who've been online dating for a long time, we're always living in fear because we've experienced it before.
Right.
And so you don't want to repeat the same patterns.
That's
it's really hard.
where I'm coming from.
Exactly. And I think I had the same conversation with Julie where I was like, I would be conflicted too, because I understand you want to develop a friendship, but I also see the fear at the end of it. Like the consequences of what could happen. And also it's like, at this age, do I need more friends?
Right. And
Maybe
that was
not.
I actually immediately said that to you, and you were like, I don't know if you remember this, you're like, we're still having this convo, like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to be your friend anyways. That's
you should
ridiculous.
make as many friends as you possibly can until the day you die. I don't understand this like hermit culture of like, like, I mean, I guess I get it because people close themselves off from like getting hurt or whatever, but like good people are good people. If you meet a good person, hang on to them for the rest of your life in whatever like way they're going to be a part of your life, you know? Like, and that's what I'm open to, you know, sort of like, I'm having a great time hanging out with you guys. Like I do this on a Saturday and there's just, you know, it's not dating, it's not sex, it's whatever. Like we're just hanging out. That's great. And like, it's cool to have female friends with like great perspectives on life that I don't really get from like my rapper buddies, you know, like it's awesome.
It's
So I
great that
appreciate
you were his first date since a divorce, because he said when he was waiting for you at the bar, he had no expectations because there's nothing for him to compare you to. Like,
I've never been burned on a Tinder date. Like,
Well, it's just interesting because, like, for you, there was another guy that I was like, not a lot of dates, but it was a couple dates, and he just like got out of an engagement and like a 7-year relationship. And I'm like, oh my God, can it be even more that I meet you? But he was like, when we like mutually kind of decided we're in those different places also, he was like, okay, bye. When you were like, no, this isn't the end, like I'm still gonna be here as a friend, like for a second it did make me step back and be like, maybe this is like worth continuing to like have that person there. Like,
we can help each other through this experience. Like we're at a similar stage, you know, and like you literally run a great podcast about dealing with this experience. So you're knowledgeable about it. You were a great date.
Yeah.
Pretty good kisser too. And like, you know what I mean? Like you get like, we can be friends through this experience where I can let you know what's going on in my dating life, my experiences. I don't think I told you about the Tinder fuck me in the ass girl. Like that was pretty funny.
No, you'll hear it when you edit this episode.
Yeah.
So what did we learn from this experience? I can go first because since I heard both of your, you know, what you think happened on this date. One is, we say this all the time, you never know what's going on in someone's life. Even though they tell you everything, there's so many layers underneath it.
Totally.
She had no idea that you had this like hypersensitivity to safety of women on dates. And if she had known that, maybe that could have explained some of the behavior, you know? And not that those are red flags. It's just that if we didn't get this perspective, she would have just gone on with life thinking, okay, he just operates in a different way.
Well,
right?
I think the birthday one is definitely the bigger of the
It's totally okay. It's totally okay. That's like one of those ones where I secretly like it. Like that my birthday was like the worst birthday ever. Because I'm not a big birthday person.
And
like
it makes for a good story, I guess.
Yeah, totally. And like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. So that's one, you never know what someone's going through. But two, I like that we're bringing Jeff into this as a fresh perspective and fresh eyes, because we always say this on our podcast, and sometimes we don't practice what we preach, which is dating should be just about meeting people.
Right.
It's not about finding that ultimate partner or finding the love of your life. It's meeting and connecting with people. And the more people you can connect with, the better you will be in a partnership, because it's all about that communication and how do you connect with another human being. So I really appreciate that. What I do want to bring up from, I guess, Julie's perspective and as a takeaway is, you talked about empathy. Jeff was saying how now he's focused on putting his needs behind other people's needs. So whatever you need, he'll champion you to help you, which is great, like developing that empathy and support. But sometimes as a woman, it's really hard for us to, because we sound like a broken record, right? It's like, I don't want to feel pressured to be in a relationship, but I do feel a little pressure to be in a relationship. Right. I don't want to feel pressure to have kids, but I do feel the pressure to have kids. And you even said the same thing. Jeff said, I get the sense that women are just, they want kids at this age. Like they're out there to want something. And even though we can talk about some of these pressures, it's really hard for us to get empathy from men in them because men would just say, oh, all women want relationships. Yeah. All women want this to end in marriage. And I guess the empathy part comes from, you actually don't know where this feeling is coming from. And it's a lot deeper than you think it is. It's not just superficial, I want a ring on my finger. It comes a little bit deeper. So I think men and women can have more of these conversations instead of just being like, oh, stereotypical woman.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. No, I love that. I think that's a great perspective. And I think that like I'm coming from when I'm making assumptions that are like out of bounds, it's totally from that angle of like what we expect, which is, you know, if we openly talked like this more and there were good podcasts like yours out, like we would get a better idea of how it's actually working. Like it's such a big gray area, and it is very interesting. So
what are some of your takeaways?
You want to go first?
Nope.
Ask someone when their birthday is on a first date and put it in your calendar. Do you know how you want to carry on this friendship?
No, I don't. I still am open to it. I just don't, I guess I haven't thought about it really. Like, I think for me, it becomes a problem if it becomes a problem. Like right now, it's not a problem. And I think that's why I kind of made that decision to cut it when it wasn't a problem. Because we went on 2 dates, we had a good time. I wouldn't say we fell in love in 2 dates, right? If we had sex and like things continued and then I got more invested, that's when I think there's problems. So that's why I think there was the conscious decision, like this feels like a good time. However, that being said, like I'm open to it because I think like what you said too makes a lot of sense to me. And I think the whole point of like trying to like mold someone into like a boyfriend or marriage material when you've been on 3 dates with them, like it just might not be realistic. Like if you think about like how people met a long time ago or like how you met people in like college or like early 20s, it kind of just like developed over time. So I think we always say that too, is like sometimes this just needs time. So I guess like I'm not opposed to doing that. However, I'm a little gun shy just because of my past. I think that's where I'm at.
Jules, maybe that was actually an amazing thing you just brought up. Like when we're in college, we had this wide social network where like we're constantly meeting new people and like everyone knows everyone. As we grow older, dating gets rougher, and maybe that's because we're closing off those networks and like maybe we should just be continually like, because honestly I have a pretty cute friend Brad. I think you guys would be really good together.
Brad.
And like you know what I mean? It's like if we continue a friendship, you end up at a party with me and Brad, you guys hit it off, like you never know. Like
it's true.
That is very true. And we even have said that in previous episodes. Go on dates because you never know what can happen and who they know. I think this all goes back to expectations. If you go into this friendship without any expectations, like if Julie, you're like, okay, we can just be friends. I don't need to think about if he's measuring up to what I think an ideal partner is. Then this is totally cool. Like this is awesome. I love to hang out with Jeff. He's my neighbor basically. Like we can expand this network. But if it's only toxic when you go into it with these expectations of, is he going to hurt me if I have feelings for him?
Yeah, and I think I've already kind of said stuff to you that I definitely wouldn't if I was trying to date you after being friends. So I think, I think the expectations have shifted. So I think for me, like that's important, like to have the right expectations going into something.
Yeah. Well, that's a great thing about friendship. And honestly, why I was like thrown off guard by the question about like how to move forward, it's like you don't like move forward with like friendships, no expectations. That's why it's friendship. It's like this like boundless, it's just like the good parts, you know, it's just like, I don't know, usually.
Yeah, we've said that too. You don't like define the relationship with a friendship, and you don't like be friends with someone for 3 months and be like, "Are we monogamous?"
I know.
Yeah.
They're like, So why treat it that way?
Yeah, it is so interesting though, because I feel like I'm like torn on it, because it's like your point though, which I actually thought was really interesting, because you were like, you made this comment through text that was like, if we could have a friendship and like hang out without sex, like that is like such a foundation. So like if you are attracted, imagine like what that could be if it did turn into a relationship. And I think that's like really interesting because like I'm like conflicted because a lot of like the past relationships I've been in have kind of like started off immediate, and it sounds like that's what yours did too.
Oh yeah.
So then when I don't see that, I think there's like something wrong or it's not going to go that way. But like we do hear of so many people that just kind of like naturally became closer and things progressed also. So there's just no right formula.
So even though we say there are no parameters, are there parameters though?
Yeah.
Can you have sex? Can you make out? Can you
Jules?
hold hands? Yes.
Oh yeah. No,
Can you though?
I will say that's where it gets a little
differ.
dicey because he's like, let's stay friends and we can like make out still. And I'm like, wait, then how is this different than what we were doing before?
Well, I mean, that's up to you. That's like, so I have friends that I'm attracted to, and they have that line, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it's cool. I like
so
hanging
Julie,
out with
you need to draw the line
So
somewhere.
it's basically on me then to draw the line.
I mean,
but then
like,
you could also just get drunk again one night
I know, because
and
I
then
don't
go home
always
together.
trust myself either.
Then what happens?
I don't know. But I mean, I've also, over the years, have had friends with benefits relationships that I don't have feelings for. I'm very black or white. It's really bizarre. Like, I'm either, like, so into someone or not into them. And, like, it doesn't necessarily matter if I've slept with them.
It's weird. I don't know if it's the same for y'all, but, like, for me, my friends with benefits were always people I didn't really like that much. You know what I mean?
Like as a person? Or, like,
kinda, yeah.
Oh, like as a person?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Like, they're in the social circle, and they're sort of like, like they were around, I was around, and like, but because I feel like it would have been a relationship if we liked each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Wow.
if fuck buddy is someone that you don't actually want to hang out with
Yeah.
outside
That's
the bedroom.
true. I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
like
You're not like calling them up on
that's
Saturday
true.
morning.
It's like very
Go to the flea market.
transactional. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what that line is, but I mean, I guess like I think the lesson here is that we're not going to solve it right now. We don't know what the
No,
line
we
is.
gotta solve it
Nothing
right
needs to-
now.
Nothing needs to be
Nothing-
solved.
no, but,
I
like-
gotta pour another drink if we're gonna do this.
Solve wasn't the right word, but like there's nothing that we can predict. You can't see into the future, so it's just either take it or leave it, right?
Yeah. It's good to have a powwow session like this, right? Like
I
people
wish
should...
every date ended like
I
this. It'd be so
know,
funny. You
I
just go right
know.
into a booth
Right.
and you're like, we're breaking this down
Yeah.
right now.
and then
Exit
be like,
interview.
little did you know you called me on my birthday. You know, like
No,
stuff
my
like
God,
that.
I would never have known that.
No, you would have never known that. We're
I
not
love-
dwelling. Sorry, we're not dwelling
I
on
love
that.
the 50-50 haze on the bar kiss, though. That's really funny. I feel like 50-50 means like we probably kiss at the bar. It's like 100%.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like-
we definitely kissed at the bar. We're both.
I think-
at
I know they were both like probably.
I know you were like motherfucker. Like
Yeah, I was like, what? On a scale 1 to 10, 10 being like really sure. He was like 9.
I think one thing that I thought was interesting that I actually brought up to you is I couldn't fully read if like you wanted to like hook up, like have sex.
I was just trying not to be aggressive
know.
with you. Yeah,
I
like
know.
I don't-
But he left his apartment messy. Remember that?
No, this first night I think was, I wasn't planning on that
Oh,
either.
date number 2?
Like, date 2, I wasn't planning on it, but I wasn't like totally opposed either. So it was like,
Oh, how clean was
blew
your?
it.
How
No,
clean
but
was
Oh,
your
it was
apartment?
immaculate then.
I was saying I didn't get the vibe though from you that you like, I don't know, I couldn't tell if it was just like being one fresh out of something or just new to dating. Like I didn't know what it was coming from.
I had sex post
Yeah,
my
okay.
relationship.
Then, yeah, I
already.
don't-
Yeah, no, it's, I don't know. I try to be respectful of people, and like we didn't talk about like what your agenda is and like what you said. Just
Yeah.
without the expectations laid out, like I didn't want to
No, that's
pressure you
fair
into
enough.
shit. Yeah.
I mean, that's
But
very
in other
nice.
words, you
Yeah.
were still down if the
Dude, I'm
opportunity.
down right
pre-
now.
right now, in my apartment
Yeah, right now.
with my
Can you
dog.
take the dog on the walk real quick?
You always like, this seems like a really healthy friendship.
By the way, my bathroom is out of order. They're doing like renovations
What?
in my bathroom, so this would be the most awkward sex ever.
You always like,
It
this
always is.
friendship is so out of line already.
Oh, I'm like, that would be a red flag for me.
Add it to the list.
What do you think of Julie's new friend Jeff? They had sex on my bed.
They kicked me out of the
They
podcast.
kicked me out of the apartment to have sex on my bed. I would say no.
Yeah.
Any other takeaways from you, Jeff?
Just sorry to hijack, but I'll add one more. It's like, this keeps coming up. It's like you just really don't know where the other person is coming
Yeah.
from, because it's like I didn't know that happened to you all day. Like you were, I mean, I would say you were more transparent with me than other dates have been. So there's probably other dates I've been on that I literally
no
nothing.
idea.
But like you also don't really know my like relationship. I mean, I did
Yeah.
share some stuff with
You
you
did,
because
yeah.
you were so open, which was I think a really great quality of the date. But like I think that's the thing is like you just don't really know why people have certain walls up and like why
Yeah.
there's like certain things that are going on.
Did you learn anything new from this conversation?
Absolutely. Like I wish I wish men would listen to women more. Like I feel like dates would probably be a lot better if they did. And I don't know. It was really good to hear y'all perspective. And
It's good to come into dating from an empathetic perspective so that, let's say you go on a great date and that person ghosts on
Yeah.
you. Instead of saying that person's a jerk, they ghosted on me, how dare they? Maybe the empathetic point of view is, I hope this person is okay.
Yep.
And I hope that whatever
Yeah.
they're going through, they can get through it. For them to go through with ghosting on someone, something must be really challenging going on.
I
in
mean,
their
the
life.
reality is if you've been on 2 dates, like maybe it's about you, but 99% it probably
It
isn't.
probably is not.
So,
I
Yeah.
didn't say, like, don't ghost either. Like, show some of the
Yeah.
respect of just being like, yo, like, I just got fired, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, whatever it is, or even just like, I'm not feeling it. I don't want to waste your time.
Full
you know
transparency.
What I mean? Yes. Like,
I like
it'd be so
that,
much
yeah.
nicer, like, because the ghosting is a lie. It's like one of those other things where, like, it's a lie. Like, you're leaving that on the table. Don't leave people on red. That's bullshit.
yeah, I mean, I will say another takeaway, and I don't know what the line is, it'll be interesting, is like, I will say I was a little scared the night before the date when you were like, I have a bunch of red flags. I was like,
Probably not the best
I
thing
was
to
like,
lead with.
this is either going to be the best date ever or a like a total bomb.
And it was right in the middle. You know, like it's just right in the
It
middle.
actually was surprisingly in the middle, which is actually kind of funny because I did not predict that. But like one of the things that I have learned over dating other people, not just you, but especially saw with you, is like I really appreciate when there is none of that date talk. Like that you can just talk like friends, meeting up, just talk like a human being. Like even if it's not romantic, just like having a conversation, getting to know a person instead of like interview style questions and just things that are like
Sex
very
interview. So
forced.
weird.
Sexterview.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like do the opposite of what you're normally used to. So normally on a first date, you're trying to sell yourself.
Yeah,
You're
talk
like,
about colonoscopies.
there you go.
Not the strongest move, but like, yeah, like say the
the
shit
ice.
that you're afraid, like say the shit you're gonna want to hide from them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's like, cause that's what they need to know. And like, if they don't run away, maybe that's a connection. Like,
At least it makes for a good story about
Yeah.
that date, and conversation will never be boring if you
Oh,
bring
yeah.
up something like a red
No,
flag.
I was actually prepping for a worse red flag than you gave me.
really?
What
like,
did you think?
I thought you were gonna be like
I got the HIV.
like I thought you were gonna say like you were like a heroin addict or something. That's like what went to my mind.
yeah,
Oh, well,
that'd be
now
a line
Jeff-
for me. Yeah.
Jeff, now's the time to tell her. Just kidding.
I'm on meth right now.
I don't know. That was my immediate, I don't know, worst red flag, I guess. Yeah. And I mean, I think like we talked about this too. And it's like, I think you were saying like it's a red flag that I'm now separated and divorced. And that actually is not a red flag to me at all. I actually see a lot of benefits of dating someone. Like you said that you have learned how to
I love
communicate
divorced
better.
men.
Yeah, you is dating someone divorced. It's like,
Yeah,
I think
it's
also
great.
at our age, it's just a reality. Like this
Yeah.
is going to come in. Like, so it's not that. I think where I was a little more concerned was the timing of it.
Yeah.
Because of that. So, and it was more not because of you, but my own stuff that I was hesitant to get into something with someone that might not be ready.
It was funny. My friend at work at Yahoo, she was like, "Isn't it more of a red flag that she hasn't been married yet?" And I was like, "Damn."
I mean, you can argue it both ways,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, but that's the thing is like,
Kenya's
I think
kind of spicy. So.
I think everyone has different, like, I mean, there's people we talk to on the show that have never had a significant other
Yeah.
at all, right? There's like all different extremes and you just don't know what people's like life circumstances. So
100%.
I try not to judge people in general. So maybe I was like the best date for you just to unload all your red
Oh, so
flags.
good. Honestly,
the best.
like, couldn't have been a better first date for the first date in 12 years, for sure.
First date in 12
First date
years.
in 12 years.
Oh my
Cool.
God.
All right, let's wrap up this
Cool.
conversation.
It's awesome. Thank y'all.
Nothing
Yeah.
else? I think we got it all
I
out
think we
there.
got it all.
Okay, so I'll ask you guys this. Let me think about the best way to ask this. Do you think you guys are going to sleep together?
Who has to answer first? They should have been in the individual.
Wait, close your
one.
eyes. Close your eyes. Okay, close your eyes. Raise your right hand if you think you're going to sleep together. It's a possibility.
It's a possibility?
Yeah,
It's
that's a weird
possibility.
phrase.
It's a possibility. I don't want to say, I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, if I have a few drinks, who knows? But like,
You want to go get a drink?
no, I mean, I think like, I guess time will tell.
And then close your eyes. I'm not going to share the answer, so don't worry about it. It's totally anonymous. Raise your right hand if you do think this friendship is going to continue.
I don't need to
Right.
anonymous vote. I'm going to
Okay.
be friends with Jules. Like,
I'll
we're
put
friends.
I'll
We don't
put-
need to...
I mean, I don't think I have a choice, is basically. the
No,
answer.
I met her. She's cool. Like, she's in my circle now.
Whether she wants to or not.
Basically, when we're having the discussion, I'm like, there's no fighting this at this point.
All right, fine. All right, I got my answers.
You can't break up with friends. You're friends when you're friends.
Oh, I've broken up with friends. Are you kidding me?
Well, unless your friend does something shitty.
Wait, can I read what your text was?
It's probably really good.
It's probably really good. Super poetic.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
I'm a professional writer, Jules.
That's true. You are.
They pay me to do this bullshit.
But I'm gonna have to like find it again though. I think you were basically just like this. There's no conversation right now.
There's not.
Yeah, I
was
think
like,
you showed it to me. It was like, no, Jules, we're friends.
Yeah, I think that night because I was just like so perplexed.
We're already
Like
friends.
I've never had I will say I've never had someone from a dating app. I actually tried to be friends with one guy once and he denied me. But everyone else, like I've never actually had a friendship continue from a dating app. So if we do have a friendship that continues, this will be a first. I might be your first date, but this might be my first dating app.
so
friendship.
many firsts here. So Julie's your first date since your divorce. You're the first friend she's gotten off of a dating app, and then also you're the first
webcammer.
web camera we've ever had on the show, which we're going to do another episode on.
Wait, no male or female web cameras at all?
No, we haven't yet.
Oh,
We'll
I
get
know
you
the community.
on
I can hook y'all up.
Yes. And another first is that you're the first date Julie has brought to a podcast recording. So congratulations, you win.
A lot of firsts. A lot of firsts.
So
I win a friend. She's pretty awesome.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up. For anyone listening, we love these he said, she said ones because you learn so much. It's like mind-blowing what you learn just from talking about your experiences. So if you'd like to be part of our next round of he said, she said, definitely reach out to us. Okay, we're going to wrap this up.
Stay dateable.
Want to continue the conversation? First, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter with the handle @DateablePodcast. Tag us in any post with the hashtag StayDateable, and trust us, we look at all of those posts. Then head over to our website, dateablepodcast.com. There you'll find all the episodes as well as articles, videos, and our coaching service with vetted industry experts. You can also find our premium Why series where we dissect, analyze, and offer solutions to some of the most common dating conundrums. We're also downloadable for free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Overcast, Stitcher Radio, and other podcast platforms. Your feedback is valuable to us, so don't forget to leave us a review. And most importantly, remember to stay dateable.